Hey, numbers are rolling.
Low-key magical with a K, Tiny Tarot. Hey, what have you got to say today? And this is what podcast number, Earl?
One.
One! Podcast number one. So far, so good, I would say. We also have Haley Dog, our mascot here, bringing some puppy dog energy with us.
It's just trying to knock the setup.
Yeah, and we are doing this podcast because, hey, Tiny Tarot, hey, has been doing so well on all platforms, and I'm very happy to hear that. It was one of those ideas I had as I was falling asleep. Those ideas are always great. Lyrics come in, ideas come in. And Tiny Tarot, for those of you who do not know, is a tiny set of tarot cards that the moment I laid my hands on them, the image I received was the little tiny chihuahua that's all the power of the big dog in a very tiny, sassy package. So Tiny Tarot just gets right to it, just cuts right to the chase. So I knew if we were going to have deep discussions, Tiny Tarot is going to be on the table. Absolutely. Haley agrees. Haley Dog agrees. And Earl is here with me, the master of podcasts. There's nobody else I'd rather do a podcast with than Earl.
Hello.
Hey. And we were just going to get right into discussions. You got a question about tarot, Earl? Any questions about the cards themselves that might...
This is episode one.
Yeah, it's episode one.
It's episode one, so why not a little bit about the history of this? What is this?
Yeah, absolutely. So tarot is a set of 78 cards. The original history is traced back to a version in Italy, and it's kind of based on the original playing cards. But these 78 cards, to me, are full of straight up symbolism, so we agree on what each card means, but then there's also this mystical artwork in there. There's so much symbology in there. And then it's also, to me, tied into the I Ching a bit. It's every possible energetic influence that could happen to a human being from birth to death.
Okay.
Mixed in with a lot of Jungian archetype. So after much study, because really the first time I picked up tarot cards, one, I was a little bit afraid of them due to Christian background, upbringing. Let's just be honest. I was just afraid of using a tool like this for divination. Didn't seem like the right thing to do. And then two, that it seemed heavy to learn. That's a lot. When you realize what's really happening in tarot. And I did. It's like the moment I realized the depth of it, which is part of the blessing of having the gift of being able to read them, it almost seemed like too heavy of a tool. Like, this hammer is too much for me. I got to put it down. But once I embraced it, the information started coming in, and since then it's been a lot of fun. It's been a fun ride. So, to me, here's how it works. There's a conversation between two people. The cards are going to resonate to that conversation. And the way that the law of attraction works, musicians understand this. If you are in a room full of stringed instruments and you pluck an E string, that E string is going to cause every other string in that room that's tuned to the same frequency to vibrate. So we are having a conversation. That conversation has a tone. It creates a frequency. These cards will resonate to that frequency. And because time is non-linear, these cards were being put in order back when we determined that we were going to have this conversation a week ago and even before. So, of course, they're going to align perfectly to the synchronous moment that we're having right now. Or as I like to say, and then some magic happens, why not? And a good, deep conversation starts. That's really it. A good, deep conversation where we can lead ourselves to answers that most likely we may have already known deep inside ourselves. So yay, Tiny Tarot's like, get to the point.
Just something weird.
Yeah.
To add to that, as you were talking about that, one of the things that I'm just going to confess, I believe in it. Alternate realities, and then the whole concept that every choice, every decision busts open another one. So what we're about to do is to take a 20-pound sledgehammer to a thin glass plane of reality.
We're going to observe it more closely.
We're going to create some 72 times. I don't do math. Sorry, it's a whole bunch. So it's a whole bunch of.
It's a lot of possible combinations.
A whole bunch of alternate realities,
That's
and so with every choice possible, everything that is that comes out of the reading, here we
And
go.
if you are hearing this today,
Yeah, we're trying
most
to line it
likely
up.
there's a reason why you're hearing it today. Again, time being non-linear. It doesn't matter if you're hearing it a week from now, a month from now.
Join
You'll
us.
hear it when it's join
Help
us.
us line
Join
this
us
up.
in the now.
Help us sync this
As
up.
we
Let's collapse the
Get
singularity
this sassy
down.
tiny tarot to answer some questions for us. Absolutely. And Earl and I were discussing right before, there's a difference in the way that I see the group of consciousness that we are working with right now. People tend to use the word collective. And immediately when I hear the word collective, I think Borg, because a collective has lost its singular identity and begins to want to become a homogeneous mass where we all agree. And the better word that I got when I was in meditation was aggregate. Instead of collective consciousness, let's think in terms of aggregate consciousness. And the difference between a collective and an aggregate is an aggregate is a mass. It's a very strong, compressed, solid single unit, but every piece has maintained its individual identity. Wow. When I thought about that, I realized, yes, I would much rather be part of an aggregate consciousness than a collective consciousness, because I get to express my individualism and still have the power of being that unified.
Hell yeah.
Does that make sense?
It's like everyone needs a voice. Everyone needs to
we're
express
here
a
to
vibration.
be individuals. We're not here to become...
But to be a part of an aggregate system wherein you can vibrate in an individual way, but you're still in harmony.
Yes.
You're still
Absolutely.
You're still hitting a harmonic. And
so we're going to call this, we're reaching an aggregate consciousness with Tiny Tarot, is what I'm hoping for.
And why would somebody want to do this? And I'll get your opinion on that. But in my opinion, why someone would want to chase this collapsing the singularity in would be, I don't want any more threat of like nuclear war. I don't want any more
absolutely.
threat of people stomping other people down and telling them what to do. No one should ever tell anyone what to do. So you just to get away from that, to get everybody on like a same page where it's like, wait a minute, okay,
right?
We're gonna be nice. We're gonna operate within a harmonic of love and acceptance,
right?
And that's why I think someone would want to do this. As weird as that sounds, but
and we also can remember that, and I'm hearing this phrase so often in media everywhere. And on podcasts especially, this is the weirdest it's ever been. This is the worst I've ever seen it. This is the oddest. So you also have to remember that when you see the absolute worst, when that pendulum is swinging towards unwanted so far that it's causing you internal distress.
Right. Panic,
you have to know that via the mirror that is creation, the absolute opposite of that has now become possible. Okay? So the tightest discomfort that you can feel, oh, this is the worst it's ever been, that now means the opposite envelope has been stretched so that humans can now achieve a greater peace that's ever been possible. This is what's weird. We're on the uncomfortable side of the envelope right now, but stretching that envelope means that much peace and the opposite of what we're observing as reality right now is now possible. Amen, Haley. Haley says it's possible. I say it's possible. I'm thinking maybe we could jump into this Tiny Tarot right now because they're telling me. And Earl, I'm going to have these are the 3 stacks. While we were having this discussion about how tangled up the world is, I've got these 3 stacks in front of me, and Earl, I would like you to intuitively choose one of these stacks. So Tiny Tarot, hey, what have you got to say about this today? And what comes up right now immediately is the moon. And the moon is those things that we don't know the answer to yet that just scare us to death. And the imagery is the moon, and there are 2 dogs underneath the moon, and they are howling, because that's what happens to us when we experience this discomfort of the unknown. Our insides just oh, this is not where I want to be right now. And there's another piece of imagery in this, and that is the water. And I'm holding this up for those of you that can see the video. There's water underneath these dogs, and anytime we see water in the cards, that represents our emotions, those deep depths where we don't like to go, where the shadows live. And there's a lobster with claws climbing up. Of course, the dogs aren't even looking. They're busy howling at the moon. But the lobster's climbing up, and he's getting ready to... It could be worse, guys. I'm about to pinch you. There's stuff you still don't know about that could be pinching you from behind any minute. And this absolutely tells me this is where we are. These cards are resonating with what we're discussing right now. Oh, that's right, Haley.
There's something
because
coming.
There's something. Now, you say something coming. I want to say,
but maybe it isn't.
There's underlying.
It's a lobster.
There's a group.
Dogs love lobsters.
Dogs love lobsters. Which one of these did you pick from first? Was it this one? Yeah, I'm going to make sure that one's on top. Okay, so this says underlying anxiety, that there's stuff that you don't know about. It is bothering you. This is what we're seeing.
I hate swimming in the ocean.
And we're seeing it as, again, the word collective is there, but I'm saying we're seeing it as an aggregate, overall. There is just an underlying brewing of everyone feels dis-ease, as if we know that something's coming. And I want to say this before I draw the next card, because this came to me the other day. When we as humans look back on our history and huge events in history that really change things, we truncate our history drastically, because there were people that lived through it. They experienced those events. And not knowing what was happening, we never know what's happening while it's happening to us. We didn't know how momentous the whole pandemic issue was going to be. Now that we can look back, although it's kind of folding in on itself, now that we can look back already, we're saying, it doesn't really look the way it happened when we were in it.
Yeah.
All of history is that way.
All of history is that way.
All of history is someone's recollection of. And then we take events that we think were most important, and then we compress that event together and we go, that was the Renaissance. Okay, the Renaissance wasn't being, it's 12 o'clock, guys. Hey, the Renaissance just hit. It wasn't
Remember
like
to
that.
set your clocks
It wasn't
forward
like
to
that.
Renaissance.
So get an understanding that what we may be anticipating as one giant event could actually be our past recollections of, man, there have been momentous things that have happened before. They were intense. They were powerful. Living through them is going to feel a little differently, and we need to embrace that. It may not be one big event. It could be a series of intense events that could be compressed. It could be spread out, right? Again, not trying to build more anxiety, but just remember the way that we tell our stories often impacts how we anticipate our future. Okay? That's a big one from Tiny Tarot.
I just
I really
keep having
want
this image too that you know, the depths are significant. They're real.
Yeah.
They should not be ignored.
No.
They're there. But what's coming up out of it in the card? That's what's really just vibrating on me hard. It's a lobster.
It is a lobster, and
it's not a whale. It's not a kraken.
It's not also the lobster represents that very, very oldest part of ourselves.
Yes.
We are the ones that crawled out of the depths.
Yeah.
And that's the part of ourselves that we don't like to look at.
Yes. It's
okay. The part of us that's still, you know, this is my area of the jungle, and I'm going to throw my poop at you if you don't agree with me. That's still in us. That's part of who we are, and we hate that. Okay. Do you see what I mean?
Yes, I do.
We absolutely hate that, because we're as civilized, quote unquote, as we want to think we are. Okay. As soon as we don't know what's going on, what are we doing? Howling at the moon and getting afraid of the stuff that we can't see. Now, the next card that comes up is the Two of Cups. And this is a beautifully balanced card. And this makes me immediately go to what we said before, that when you push that envelope into how do I put this? Extreme discomfort, you have now shot a dart to your desire of the absolute opposite of that. Do you see where I'm going?
Yeah, I do.
Now, I know it feels like, and this is what I'm saying it's Tiny Tarot saying it, but these are the intuitive things that come in. So roll with me when I start hitting metaphors. This really is like the feeling that we have right now, this moon feeling, is that feeling of when you are on the roller coaster and, you know, you made the decision to get on the ride, but the moment that you're tick, 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 and you really are about to hit that, woo, here's where it gets crazy, folks, which you signed up for.
Yes.
That's when you go, could somebody stop this, please?
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
we can
I
talk
have
about
made
that
a
another
mistake.
time. Yeah.
I think I've made a mistake. And it does feel like collectively we've got our heels in and we have got our fingers on that bar and we're like, hey, maybe this wasn't such a great idea, because something is right around the corner that's about to be something that we, again, if we're explorers, and I believe that we are, would we not want to be here when we explored one of the most greatest, you know, one of the most amazing experiences ever?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. It's a white knuckler, it feels like, but
I
wouldn't we want to
deliberately
be
chose
here
to
for
go
that?
hike Yosemite with a friend, you know,
Right.
and that's, I didn't choose to go hike the park over there, which I do every day.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I'm with you on this one. I get it. If we
Yeah.
chose to be here from an energetic self, if we
Right.
were,
if we were here to be explorers,
part of the cosmic data stream is the only way I can phrase it. But you want to, you choose to come down in here, and there's a price to be paid for that. You have to surrender your omnipotence. You have to surrender your omniscience, because you're getting ready to play a game.
You have to forget why.
Before I go into World of Warcraft, you know,
Yeah.
I know what's going to happen to me in there.
Yeah.
I know when I go in there,
Yeah.
you know, I'm going to get my ass kicked, and I'm going to die, you know, in that game. And I choose deliberately to go do it. How long can I go?
How long can I go?
What interesting things will happen to me when I'm within that simulation?
Right. And where will that...
This is no different.
What will that boss level look like, Earl?
And to choose to go in there from the city of night, and then we're going to come in here, and it's like you're dumb. You're born with no
noob.
You only get to take the spark. You don't get to take you.
No.
Just the spark that is the essence of you. You get to take that, and then you're going to have all these experiences. You're going to log them into the machine on your way out, and you know, if you want to do it again, who knows?
Who knows?
Maybe you can.
Who knows?
If you don't want to, you don't want to. You know, you've always been. You've always been.
You've always done this. There's a part of me that wants to go, you know, you've always done this. This is it feels like boss level experience.
Get excited because we chose to be in this particular game, this particular moment. We chose this program.
Right.
We chose this simulation.
Now, do you feel the shift of energy that you have in just saying that to me from when we started, and you were like, what is that lobster? But then you shifted and began to say, you know what, this is all right. And I'm going to say the next card that came out is strength. And let's look at strength. All right, so this is a person holding on to a lion, and by the way, looking in its mouth. This is what makes me feel like when your dog has eaten something that he shouldn't, but you've got to go in there.
I have one of those.
Right? Yes. Now, a lot
can.
of people, they'll look at strength and go, well, this just means you've got to be strong. All right, it's going to be tough. Hold on. And that's not really the way that I look at strength. To me, strength doesn't come up because it's just like you're just gonna have to learn to live with it. It's not like that at all. Strength is learning how, not making what is giving you anxiety any less. You're not looking at the problems of the world and going, I'm just gonna pretend they're not there. I'm just gonna say that everybody's good at heart. One of those sickeningly positive people that just glosses things over. That's not what strength is. Strength is learning how to tame your reaction to the monster to start with. You are no good working with an agitated animal if you are fearful and agitated. Correct?
You're just going to get
they
injured
eat
worse.
you alive.
Yeah.
An animal smell
Your
predator.
death is going to be extra
predator
painful.
smells your fear.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Something that feeds. Let's take
something
predator
that's
out.
that scared needs to be
Something that
stopped.
feeds on you and knows that you are easy to feed on smells your fear. So your fear is kind of like a sign, right?
Right.
Come and get me. Mm-hmm. So the strength card isn't about I'm going to pretend that I'm not afraid. It's about learning how to tame what has been fearing you, so that you no longer give off that vibe of weak prey. Because when you're in that place, it is so easy for you to be toyed with, to be scared by every little boop, boop, boop. That's, you know what I mean? Anyone with a shadow, right? Hey, guess what? The Ukraine's, oh God, and now it's this, and oh Lord, and now it's this, and oh my God, right? It's just, oh no, it's not, everything is terrible. When you're already agitated and fearful, you are absolutely 100% prey. You really are. And the strength card is about understand who's really got, and this is one of the things, Tiny Tarot's just saying this, like arms crossed.
This is its
understand opinion. Who has the strength in this situation. Your attention is currency. I don't think people realize that. Your attention is currency. It's literally monetized. If you're on YouTube, people watch your videos, you are getting paid for their attention. Your attention is monetized. That means just the fact that you are looking out of your eyeballs is worth something. Okay, where are you putting that attention? Are you going to be deliberately putting your attention on the things that are the most fearful to you? That's almost like there's a predator waiting. Like, I am waiting for you to look at me so that I can eat your fear. Like, it almost feels that way. Does it not feel that way? And what we're understanding is, especially with this Two of Cups, this is where the Two of Cups that I pulled a second ago comes in. It's a mirrored balance. The cups represent your emotions. The cups hold the water. Do you see? And these two people are in balance. They're both responsible for their own cups. I'm not going to get upset with you if yours spills, or if you make me spill mine a little bit. I'm responsible for my own cup. Now, that also means if I go on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and I deliberately scroll through things that upset me, whose fault is that? That's me being really irresponsible with my own cup. Okay? So a lot of this fearfulness about the world is that we have to remember, especially looking at this, what you have effect on is 100% what is within your arm's reach. You have the ability right now to take a breath and go inside and calm yourself. It's not making the outside world any different in the moment, but if 75% of this aggregate consciousness took a moment to say, wow, I just remembered that 100% I have effect on what is literally within arm's reach of me, and for a moment or two, I'm not going to worry about anything else outside that circle. And what does that do? That anxiety is no longer there, not because the fearful things have gone away, but because you have learned how to tame that fear response. And your next set of choices, Earl, based on that probability, have just shifted to a whole new set of choices that were not available to you a minute before because you weren't even on the right map.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay.
I like the halo.
I do like the halo. The halo has to do with infinity and that knowledge that we are all carrying around within us, that technically we all have access to. There's a universal Goog that we all have access to. I call it the universal Google. Think about it this way. Have you ever crocheted?
I'm going to believe that.
Have you know the universal Goog?
Yeah, I'm
all right.
That too.
How about this? Jeeves? Is Jeeves still a thing?
Yeah, it's
universal
Jeeves.
All
Ask
right.
Jeeves.
So there's an Ask Jeeves that's really big out there. All right. And Ask Jeeves really doesn't care. Like, all you have to do, if you were a giant soup that could create everything, none of that everything would have meaning until there was a consciousness to say, oh, look, that's a flower. Oh, hey, you know what made me think of? Those I Spy books. Okay. Open up one of those big double I Spy books real quick, just right in the middle. There was stuff, but you can't, when you look at it that way, You can't render any of it. Your brain's, wow, there's a lot of stuff.
There was just some.
But until you open that page and say, okay, what am I looking at here? Oh, hey, check it out. A toy soldier. Now that image became something to you. And in all that is, and when you really think of the word all that is, that's literally all that is. I mean, not just this planet, not just this, everything. All that is. How can that all that is have meaning? Until there is a consciousness that defines what that is.
Right.
Then we explore it. Like, that's exactly, it makes complete sense. Then we explore it. And so this has got to be one of those times where, as an aggregate consciousness, we're honing that in. If you think of it as a, ready?
Aggregate
consciousness. And then, have you ever crocheted? Just like,
no.
As you take the crochet string, every chain, every chain is pulled through the previous chain.
I've watched people do it.
Every human on this planet was born through a previous human.
Yes.
Had to be. So if you are here, there is an unbroken chain of babies coming out of uteruses successfully and living all the way back to the original whoever,
yeah.
Correct?
Right.
All right. Now, time exists nonlinear in the way that we're coming to understand it. So technically, it's almost like being able to see that full Afghan all at once.
Okay.
There is the original loop through which the first one came, and now there is a beautiful fabric that's been built of every successful chain that's come through it. And then in the thought you say, and all of that energy still exists and is available for me today. That's what ancestral work is.
Okay.
That is a big part of what this, I know that's a lot to go into this one little, see that little infinity loop that's over her head? That's basically saying
symbol there.
All of that knowledge, whether you are open to that or not, Ask Jeeves has basically made all of that knowledge available to you, should you choose to A, accept it, and B, learn how to ask the questions to get what you need. That's really a big part of it. And holy shit, it's all falling apart is not a question to ask to get what you need.
No.
Oh my God, we're all going to die.
Why is it falling apart? That's not a question to ask
that's really not a question to get. What am I doing wrong all the time? You'll get lots of answers for what you're doing wrong.
It's gear up. It's stand by. You're going to have a blast. This is the part of the game that you chose to enter into.
And it can take as long or go as quickly as you want it to go. And our negative heel digging in anticipation is making it take longer.
Choose for it to be lucrative in your favor.
It is. Choose for it to be lucrative in your favor. And then Tiny Tarot says, hey, guess what? Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords can be a bit of a Karen card. And this is where I get to that. What are you going to solve by bitching about things all the time? There's an opposite to this Queen of Swords energy. And don't get me wrong, the Queen of Swords is a very powerful, creative thought energy that can sometimes get really stuck in her own ways and can sometimes be very harsh with words. But on the positive side of this, it's getting that hold on those thoughts that have been taking control over you. It's getting a hold on that negative internal dialogue that tells you constantly that you are not enough, or tells you that things aren't going fast enough, you haven't prepared enough, things are going to be terrible, and you haven't listened to the right people, and this is going to... No, what we have to do is kind of get a hold on this. And again, this is cancel culture. I would say that this card could embody cancel culture.
Okay.
You know, I'm going to see something I don't like. Mentally, it's causing me, it's an idea I don't, it's gone. Like that, But on the opposite end of this, it's taking swift action. And it's cleaning up your own thought process. In a weird way, cancel culture has taken something, and we've noticed this, that was supposed to be working on the side of good. It's anti-racism, it's anti-sexism, it's anti-anti, and I'm going to kill you with it. Okay, that's not really the answer. That's not really the answer.
Yeah, there's nothing about it that starts a dialogue.
But again, on the opposite of that, what is the Queen of Swords in all of her positive aspects? Clear, concise thinking, correct? Not emotionally driven, but clear, concise, logical, kind feminine because we're throwing the feminine in here. It can be a kind energy, a kind, reasonable energy where we go, all right, we understand that a lot of this has been crazy.
Does she simply say, wait a minute, while holding the sword up?
Yeah, hold up. Hold up. Hold on, guys. You know that? Oh, you know what? In the classroom, when the teacher would like flick the lights on and off, and everyone in the classroom had just been going ape shit bananas until right then, and you're like, oh God, okay, she's here. So yeah, in my mind, it's almost like the goddess of creation comes back and goes, what have you guys been doing with my planet? And we all go, oh, I'm so sorry.
Yes.
I'll be looking at you going, wow, this is not at all what I predicted. I had no idea it was going to be this.
Pay attention.
But it is, okay, it also means taking ownership, guys. And this is, again, with the what is within arm's reach that you can affect right now. Your brain and your thought process. You can't change anyone else's. Earl, I can't reach into your brain and change what you're thinking. And you can't do the same with me. But we're all trying to do that externally of ourselves. You have got to stop thinking and saying these things. It's making the world crazy. And look how crazy I am because of your words. All right now. Look how crazy I'm letting myself get because of what you're saying to me.
Yes.
Like that's, again, that's with the lion. Am I allowing you to prey on my anxiety and discomfort because I don't like what's coming out of your mouth?
Yeah.
You know, what do you have control over right now? Okay, let's look at the Queen of Swords another way. How dare you tell me what to think or say?
Yeah.
Right? How dare you? How dare you come in here and tell me, the owner of my household, I have been cultivating my kind thoughts, you know, the way that I live. I finally have a solid belief system that makes me feel good. And you're going to come in through my phone and tell me that the world is burning down and that I should dig a hole and crawl into it and with a bucket of antidepressants and a Big Mac
and a single bullet.
Yeah, and a single.
You only need one.
Yeah, you only need the one. Really? You're going to come in here and tell me after all my love and light that you're, and see, the Queen of Swords, it's okay to have that. And I feel like that because there are days when I wake up and everything is okay. Yeah. Like I feel good. There's no aches or pains. My stomach's not growling. I had a nice little cold drink ready for myself. I sipped it. I'm waking up. The world is wonderful, you know. And then someone knocks on the door and they're like, the dog tore the trash up in the kitchen. Like you'll have 4 or 5 seconds before the world comes in, and that 4 or 5 seconds of, you know what, everything's okay. It's what we're gonna extend. Like this Queen of Swords says, I get to carve out more of that for myself. I understand that according to you in the world, you think that I should spend 24 hours a day in pain, wondering what we're going to do, not knowing what tomorrow's going to bring.
Oh my God.
Screw that. Yeah. I am going to have my peace.
Yes.
Because it is within my arm's reach.
Yes.
Check it out. Flick, flick, flick. Quiet down, class. Teacher's here. Click, 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 click.
Right.
And everybody has the right to do that. And you might go, well, that's unrealistic. Well, okay, we've created this reality, and how do we create another one if it doesn't exist yet? All right, singularity. I'm going to say this real quick. What is the singularity? And I meditated on this, and I felt like it was one of those things where it gets answered in riddles a little bit. I think we're living in the movie The Labyrinth. I think we are.
Let me take a real weird aside on this. Yes. A real weird aside on this. Why do things come in as puzzles, or why do things come in as mysteries and signs? And I was trying to write something a long time ago, and I was trying to figure out, like, if something were omnipotent, if a cosmic data stream were aware of itself, and oh hey, I'm a thing, how would it talk? Because it created the wind. It created, all this amazing
we're so
atomic
simple
fusion and fission and protons flying off, and this is how it talks. It's the wind. It's so to come in to narrow in from that hugeness, that everything. I got to focus on one thing, language.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'll have some fun with this too. Yeah. It's like, how do you put handcuffs on God? How do you get God to talk to you?
How would you talk
because
to
it's
a
talking
bacteria?
to you all the time? How would I
How
talk
would
to
you
a
talk to
bacteria?
a single
How do I talk
celled
to an ant?
organism?
I don't
Yeah.
even try.
No.
It's not, well, it's an ant.
Yeah,
Know,
it's
what
an
do I
ant.
care?
Why would I bother? Squish.
I
Let's
want
hope.
them out of the house. I
Let's
have
hope.
tried asking them to leave, and come to think of it, it's all
I
worked.
have asked wasps to leave, and I've watched them fly out.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
wow, maybe I needed to do that before.
Yeah.
All right, so
Back to
absolutely, why would it speak to us in riddles? And let's also think about if we did get all the answers at once, that we would probably our brain would explode and we would die.
You would become God, and then all would be settled.
What's the point? You're playing the game. You're literally going, can I get to the end of the game right now? And
God doesn't
no.
talk with language.
So, in perfect labyrinth style, I got this one, and the word I'm trying to look for, it's like a characteristic. That was the word. Okay, so one characteristic of the singularity, that was the beginning of the answer that I got. Okay. So that immediately made me go, this is not just one thing. Like, this is not going to be one moment where one thing explodes or one person comes back or, whatever.
It's going to be a whole lot of things.
It's going to be a whole lot of things. But here's what I got. One characteristic of it, and it sounds like this kind of, one characteristic of the singularity is that the past, the present, and the future all exist simultaneously. And I was like, okay. And I chewed on it for a few days. Now let's think about this. What other time in history has all of our media been available to us? You and I can go back into our past and watch episodes of Brady Bunch that we forgot existed. We can go back into the entire music catalog. That was not an option when we were children. Something was on TV.
You'd have to request it on the radio station.
Yeah, one time on TV, maybe a rerun if you were lucky, and then it ceased to exist. Like, it never existed again. Yeah. So we have this time now where almost all of our past is immediately available to us in our now. We also are achieving things technologically that we are beginning to literally see what our future is going to be like.
Right.
Quicker and quicker. So we now have this time we're losing the ability to lie to each other effectively.
Yes.
Because guess what?
Yes.
I can go back and look at what you did a year ago.
It's
because your past
every day.
Your past now exists right now in your now. And based on what I can
the
probably...
election was stolen from me. I never said the election was stolen from me.
I never said that. And, hey, let's review the tapes.
It's kids. It's like, it's like John hit me, and Lori's like holding up her phone with the video of
this is exactly. I'm going to call this Exhibit A.
He's hitting me.
He's hitting me right now. Like, in the now, he's hitting me right now. Like that. So does it not make sense?
And the weird propensity to lie, and the lies are so idiotic and stupid. You can see right through them. But you've got photographic evidence.
One of the Tiny Tarot reads that I did recently was we are losing the ability to lie to ourselves and
it's so much fun.
It is so much fun. Well, I mean, it is part of that monkey thing that we do. Lies exist. Oh, let me put it this way.
We're having to focus it on cinema.
Make up a lot of that moon energy that we're talking about. Yes, a lot of this is lies. Like lies compounded on lies. Now, I do want to say this. I decided to ask Tiny Tarot for one more card because it felt like this. Queen of Swords is great. Queen of Swords is like advice. Queen of Swords is like own your thought process. But I said, really though, where is this going? And the Sun card came out. And this is not, we don't take the Sun card lightly. This is positivity. This is a positive outcome. This is a naked baby starting fresh and new. Now let's talk about what naked and starting fresh and new could mean. It could mean for some people that they don't have what they had a few weeks ago, a few months ago, a few years ago, but it's in their best interest. It is a reset of some kind, but it is a powerful and positive reset. Sunflowers on a white horse, rays of the sun, happy all the way around. But he is naked and new. I really want to put that out there.
It feels like mercy. It feels like mercy and balance.
It feels almost like mercy and balance. Man, I can't get over the fact, I don't want to be so presumptuous is to say it often feels like we're being observed and watched over. Just as a species, sometimes it feels to me that we are not the only things that live on this planet.
And
we're being
we've
observed.
Always felt this way.
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
toddlers
to
in
the
a
Hebrews, there
playground.
was Yahweh. There was, to the Egyptians, there was something's watching.
Yeah,
Something's
something
got
seems
its eye
to be
on you.
watching. And my thought with you was, it feels like a gestation. It feels like cells that are dividing, like there's this enormous tension and polarity that's developing because of something new that has developed that's continuing this same feeling. And to me, the next feeling is something that's going to tell us that we are not as far away from and not as alone as we thought we were before. And that's another weird riddle.
There's just enormous amounts of hope.
Enormous, and no reason not to have that hope. What is that hope going to? Let's say we have hope for no reason. Wham! I felt better for a few hours yesterday. Like, oh, that was awful. Because again, that moon, those things you don't see make you want to prepare for battles that may not show up. Okay?
Right.
And it's okay to prepare, that's great, but you don't spend so much time in preparing that you've now taken your own life away.
Got it.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're prepared for a moment that might come, that's great. Do the prep and then continue to live. Do the prep. Live your life. Now you're prepared and you can be that Queen of Swords that says, I get to be afraid when it's time for me to be afraid, and not until then. That's what taming that anxiety is about. And now you are nobody's prey. You are a prepared, tough human that's ready for whatever this next part brings, feeling like, I'm not saying someone's going to show up and hold our hand through this necessarily, but I do believe we're going to find out that we are not nearly as alone as we thought. However that plays out.
Yeah, and how about this? How about this as a possibility? And it's kind of terrifying when you think about it. But everybody falling into sync.
Yeah, it's sync in the aggregate way, not sync in the...
Just as people are falling into synchronization with their anger and their frustration and that energy, but falling in sync with creative energy, constructive energy, logical energy.
Cooperative.
Cooperative, for real. Some sort of just a really bright side of that, but you're going to have to give up something.
Are you though? Because if it's a cooperative aggregate,
they want what you are.
If it's a cooperative aggregate, they want what you already are.
Yes, because that's needed.
And no one has to be toned down.
No.
No one has to be shoved into a shape that doesn't fit them.
And honesty scares people.
Honesty really does scare people.
Because even people, I'm honest, I never, they lie all the time.
That's what this moon, all right, let's go back to that. Like, this has just been so much of who we are. And this is, all right, it's an ego thing. And even though I don't like to use that word anymore, an ego is nothing but an outdated operating system.
And it just comes out of fear. It's
absolutely out of fear of the unknown.
It's just a reptile brain response.
Because I don't know what you're thinking. Yeah. That's the whole thing. I have to assume what your actions.
This bullshit.
Yeah, we have the ability to lie. We figured it out when we were 2. Did you eat your crackers?
Yeah.
No.
You can affect outcomes of things.
Yes.
Not only by looking at them, but also by interjecting some words.
Lying is a magic power.
It is a magic power.
And we have lied ourselves into a corner.
The liberty of letting go of that. The liberty of being honest.
Do you think that the Queen of Swords is a liar?
Yeah.
No. That's the problem with the Karen.
Yeah.
Is that she's like, I am dissatisfied and you will die.
I am being honest with my feelings.
So the positive about the Karen is you're going to know always how Karen feels. I mean, I'm saying Karen. The Queen of... This is terrible. There's a Karen out there going, please don't. The thing about the Queen of Swords is you will always know how she feels. She's going to let you know. And that's a positive, guys. That's tempered because we are humans and we love each other. We don't have to be mean and careless with our words. But we can be very honest with them. How do you get your needs met if you don't let your needs be known?
Yes.
And we've all done that because we have been taught. What are we supposed to do?
You're just supposed to know.
We're supposed to put everybody before ourselves. We're supposed to be servant leaders. Yeah, I get it. But we've taken that over time and compressed ourselves down to the lowest common denominator, and I am not worth anything until I do something to deserve love. And that's not the case.
Yes, that's
Not the case. It's quite the opposite. It is a balanced, loving energy where we all take responsibility for our own emotional well-being.
Yeah. We think
Yeah.
about each other's best interests first.
And guess what? That makes us strong, that makes us honest, and that brings us to the sun. It makes us strong. It makes us honest. It brings us to the sun. Ooh, all right. That's Tiny Tarot's message.
There we go.
Like, here's
Hey,
the
I dug
deal,
this.
people. Yes, you're afraid, all right? But you don't need to be afraid of anything, again, that's not within arm's length of you. Take control of what's within arm's length of you. Take control of your own emotional well-being. Don't make other people outside of you responsible for making you feel better. That's your responsibility. And then understand that the outcome, as bumpy as it may and as weird as it may look between here and the end, we are living a moment of history. Just know that we may be naked when we come out of it, but we'll be celebrating. Sweet. All right. Well, this was podcast number 1. What do you think? Tiny Tarot brought it, I feel like.
I feel pretty good about things in general, actually.
Yeah, I think you should.
I think doing a tarot read for the cosmic data stream today was...
hello, happy aggregate. It's us.
This section of the matrix, if you'd rather. But
all right,
no,
what we have
loved
to
it.
affect within arm's length feels pretty good right now.
Tell me about, you do this. You do this
I
on
do
Saturdays.
this. Yes, I do this on Saturdays.
You do this by appointment?
I do it by
Do you have a
appointment.
website? Let's
I
hear
do!
about all this.
All right, right now I can be found on Facebook and Instagram, Low Key Magical with a K. So that's LOWKEYMAGICKAL. And it's low-key magical because I have lived a magical life for quite some time low-key. It wasn't really anybody's business how much magic I was doing at home. And now I'm coming out of my magical closet. I am working with people individually
Yes.
with tarot and with energy work. And those appointments are usually 30 minutes for a basic work, and then we can do an in-depth that's like an hour long, and that's by appointment. So reach out to me, message me on Facebook.
Outstanding. Yes.
Yep. And then we're going to be doing this podcast once a week, or as often as we
I like the once a
can
week.
make that happen. I think once a week it's happening.
We've got some really groovy tools that just
Groovy tools, and we're going to
vibrated
be
into
asking for questions. And if you are someone that might like a read on the podcast, if you're brave,
That's a thing we can do.
That is a thing we can do.
You could call in, so we could select someone to call in, and we'll do a read. Yeah.
So reach out to me again on Facebook. We might pick you out of the aggregate. We're not going to say collective anymore. Out of the consciousness aggregate, you may be chosen. That would be awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being with us. Thank you, Earl, for reaching out to me and helping this happen.
Thank you for letting me do it.
Excellent.
We'll see you next
Low-key
time.
Magical with a K. Have a magical rest of your day.